Hello and welcome to episode 31. I am super excited for this particular meeting, and I would like to start with a few quotes from Mooji that I'm using to share with you today because they mean so much to me. I believe they get into the heart of much of what A Course in Miracles intends for us to learn. And I am going to relate it to lesson 189, which is probably my favorite lesson. So here we go. I am as the lens of the Absolute. And what he says is I is the lens of the Absolute through which the manifest world can be perceived. We could just stop with that and give a whole talk on that. And that's really what this talk is about. We're a little bit confused. We think I is the body. We think I is the small mind. We think I is our bones and our skin and our separate being, metaphorically contained in our personality. So when we're in that first stage where we think, okay, I'm not a body, but there's this wasteland of time where it seems people still believe that they're the manifestation, which means that they're still thinking of themselves as a solid matter. And remember, science has not been able to find this solid matter. Science says we're energy. Yes, we are manifested, but we're not manifested as what it appears to be. So let's just for a minute digress from Mooji and go to our nighttime dreams. We all know that we're the dreamer of our dream, and yet within the dream, all the characters are real. And if you're like me, the people in your dreams are people. They're not dinosaurs or bodiless beings. They're people, and their stories, and they are 100% perceived as real. So that's how we could do the same in our waking life. Because there's a part of us that goes, it can't be. It can't be. I see these separate people, but don't we see them in our dreams at night? And, we all know this and we all forget this because there is a kind of hypnosis, as I've said, or you could call it conditioning, or you could call it the emperor's new clothes, where we all have a propensity to believe the same thing. I think it serves to make us feel connected. It's kind of the booby prize of connection, that we're all connected in being disconnected. That's kind of a booby prize because there's not much reward in being disconnected and being disconnected, but it does seem to be what we do. So let's go back to what Mooji says. I is consciousness. or awareness. They're all the same thing. When manifestation announces itself with the body, the first thing that happens to us is we're given a name. We're given the name Lynn or Dove or Rosalind. And then we start to attach or identify as the I am. But if we really want to get into what Mooji is telling us, the I without the am is the absolute. It came before I am. We have represents the fact that we have always known the feeling of existence, the feeling of being. I exist. This is the earliest manifestation of the absolute in material expression. I'm going to say it again. The I is the earliest manifestation of the absolute in material expression. I is that awareness itself, but when it's felt inside of a body. But remember, just go to infants. Infants do not feel that their bodies are separate from anyone or anything. It's really about 6 months, or for very bright children, maybe 4 or 5. Even the smiles that come to them when they smile and it's mirrored back, it's one. It's oneness still. And then when separation anxiety starts, often it's about 6 months, but in very bright children, it starts around 4 months. They start to realize that the caregiver who brings the milk that they believe sustains them comes and goes. And therein starts the anxiety. So how does this relate to A Course in Miracles? Let's look at a few sentences from lesson 189, and then we'll get to my favorite part, which I have referred to before in these series. There is a light in you the world cannot perceive. Well, what is it that the world can't perceive? The I perceives everything. Remember, the I is absolute awareness. The I is presence. If we say absolute awareness, I've never put those two words together before. And I think it's a real gift, because this is an aside that I'm saying here. I hear people saying, my awareness has shown me this. Well, if you're using it like insight, it's correct English, but it's not what we're talking about. My awareness, you wouldn't say my God, you would say God, because there's one being, there's one absolute infinite intelligence, there's one energy in the world. So you wouldn't separate it with a my. And we call that local awareness when it's my awareness. And it's good, it's a good start, but it's not what we're talking about when we're talking about the absolute. It's still close enough to the separate being that it can have judgments. It can be the same energy that says, good job, or ooh, that was an attack thought. But absolute awareness has no opinion. It's just the isness of everything. It gives us direction. It gives us movement, but not opinions, not preferences, not even feelings like, ooh, this is going to be really good. It just is. It's pleasant, it's peaceful, it's calm. You could say bliss because it's a contentment and it's not missing anything. But it's not the high, as I've said before, of the lottery. So what does it mean when it says there's a light in you the world cannot perceive? That means other personalities. And it probably isn't true because somewhere else in the Course, it says that people will notice the light in you. And that's not a confusion in the Course in Miracles. It's a different place. The Course refers to different stages in us, in the separate being. There is no separate being. So I should have said in the perceiving of a separate being. So in the one place we see nothing. We see only our attack thoughts, only our selfish mind, only our needing, wanting, craving, only our sense of lack. And in other stages, we start resonating. For example, when we actually put something on the altar for, in the Course's words, Holy Spirit, to take care of things, then we have the change in perception, we have the miracles, and then we are in that experience, that stage, that temporary place, if you will, to perceive the light in everyone and in ourselves. But we're not seeing it as separate, we're seeing it as the light. You know what I think is the most helpful here is to go backwards. If we're identified with our name and our bodies, what if we start thinking of ourselves as no name? No name Rourke, that's me. No name without a last name. No name is the same as your no name. Now we're getting closer. So let's look some more at lesson 189. And the little further on 189, it explains why it just said your light won't be perceived because you're blinded by the world. And yes, the objects of perception, our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations, our perceptions, as I said, and are the objects of experience. The car, the time isn't real, so it's another object. The condition of our room, the condition of our body, the condition of the world. All of that absorbs our attention and blinds us. It says to feel the love of God within you, and I would say as you, is to see the world anew, shining in innocence, alive with hope, and blessed with perfect charity and love. And I would say, hope is a funny word. When we're separate, we need hope. When we're in the oneness, we're in now. Hope is about the next moment. Hope is about what's next. When I teach or when I give a talk, I'm not given the material until right before. I would so love to get it ahead of time. That's the separate self that would be so calm if they knew that they had something to deliver. But as long as I quote unquote need that, I'm positive I won't get that, because that's still believing that there's any doubt. And in order to have perfect trust, I have to not have the information and know with a capital K that I will be given it. Just recently, I had planned to give a talk, and I had a singer who was going to deliver the song, not my musical accompaniment, but the song in my message. She was going to collaborate. And at the last minute, I found out she couldn't sing because she had respiratory infection. But I had 100% belief that this is exactly the way it was supposed to be. And I looked at the first few lines of the song and realized, yes, it'd be lovely to have her, but I don't need her. These 3 lines I can speak. And this is the way, not only is it supposed to be, but it's going to be this way, and it was supposed to be this way. And I was 100% calm, 100% comfortable, 100% good with this. Would have been good with that too. So for me, that's an example of being in the now. But there was no hope. Hope was not involved in, I hope she's better. I hope it goes well. No, I am to deliver the message I've been given with that song, and it is what it is. There's no judgment involved. So let's move on with lesson 189. And what is the theme of this? The theme is that I, no name, is God, is awareness, is presence, is absolute awareness, is all of the other words for God in all the religions. I represents all is well. I represents the knower. I was there before I am. I was there before a belief in a separate person. So I can always be the knower. What does that mean, to be the knower? It means that I can be the witness of life. I can be the door that goes in, meaning inside the I that is the absolute, or the I that goes out into manifestation. It's a swinging door. And if I'm in manifestation, I can be the presence, not the observer that's the judge, but behind that, under that, around that. the holder of the experience, the holder of the one who's having the experience. It might sound like there are two eyes, but that's not what's meant. What's meant is that there is an I that is one with the one who's the experiencer. Just like the water that flows in you and your liver and your gallbladder and your intestines, they're all separate systems, but they all work together and they're not separate from you. So they're not separate. They just appear separate when we put the microscope on them. So let's go back to lesson 189. Today we pass illusions. And we're not only going to seek to reach what is true, we are in truth. We claim it now. Simply do this. Be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is. All concepts you have learned about the world. All images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false, or good or bad. Of every thought it judges worthy, and all the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief you ever learned before from anything. Forget this world, forget this course, and come with wholly empty hands onto your I, onto the absolute, onto your God. And now, with your eyes closed, would you join me in just a few moments of breathing into the I of no name, the I that is one with the one, the I that knows there is one being, just one, and you are it. It is not arrogant to claim yourself as what you are. You are claiming your birthright. You came into this world as I know name. I know name. I know name. That is what you are. Feel yourself held by the one being. Know the knower of this experience. That is your I. It came before your name. It came actually before your birth. It is your energy potential. It is you, quantum physics. What a relief not to be the person with your name. You are free. You are the absolute. You are what God is. From this place, there's no more doing, not even forgiveness, not even putting things on the altar for a Holy Spirit. You are all that. And the love that you are requires no more doing. All is done. And I leave you with that, my friend. Thank you for being here today with me.